Hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the stream, streamy, streamy, stream. Hello, welcome to the stream, streamy, streamy, stream. Hello. Ah, I worked very hard on that intro. I didn't know what the hell I was going to say when I hit the start streaming button, as usual. Um, I'm mostly distracted by like what the headphones are doing to my hair. I should probably just wear it in a ponytail. I should start tying it back. I don't know where the hell my hair ties all went. I used to have. There's gotta be some, right? Like that's the kind of thing you never lose. They show back up when you least expect them. I guess that's the problem is that now that I want one, they're nowhere to be found. They might be shit, dude. I actually found them. It's been so long since I've been a ponytail. Hi, welcome to my chat. Oh, hello. Sorry, I missed a couple of you. Hello, hello, welcome. My hair was doing silly things, so I thought I would try to tie it, but like I haven't actually put my hair in a ponytail in a long time. Ah, ah. Ah. Yeah, that's probably better. What's up? Yeah, I'm probably gonna do a little bit of C programming. I'm trying to make a chat application that'll be very, very basic. But of course, everything is so complicated that even just doing basic things is a nightmare. And so right now I'm figuring that I should probably replace my printf calls with write calls because apparently printf, being a variadic function, is vulnerable. Well, it's not just that it's a variadic function, it's also that it does the pattern replacement. And so, like, if I'm giving them too much power, basically, or too much freedom to change things, then they might take advantage of the printf calls and different calls to inject malicious data into the application. And so, like, I want to try to prevent that as much as possible. I assume there's no way to make something completely airtight, but, like, the tighter I can make the program, then it's up to the user to make sure that their environment and everything else is going to keep it safe. But I've also been playing some Sonic Adventure 2 lately, so like after I'm done with the programming part, I'll probably get into some of that. Good luck, thank you. I have mixed feelings about it so far. Like I want to say that I'm proud, but I'm not really proud of a deliverable. Like there's nothing to show yet, really. And like I've spent most of my time redoing the same menu over and over. But I've been learning, and I've been learning, oops, sorry, it's a little loud. I have been learning more about C, more about file manipulation, reading strings, and all that. This is EarthCamTV, which is just going to show us random different webcams, just like live feeds all over the place. Bye, bye, catch you later, thanks for stopping in. But yeah, this is basically the plan for today, is some C programming, followed by some Sonic. Because I was looking at these guys, these freaking, let me bigify my screen for you. These print to terms, because I'm redoing my output functions. Before I was using a logger class, but now I'm no longer doing the logger. I think that the logger, while not necessarily a bad idea, especially for bigger applications, is too much, too confusing for a new programmer. And I want to minimize how much like confusion there is. I want to minimize how many points of vulnerability there are. And if there's these loggers going around like global classes almost, or global variables, using the variadic printf functions, like, ooh, that could get pretty bad, and it'd be hard to diagnose, it'd be hard to even identify what is actually going on. So I want to just not use these variadic functions at all, but that means I have to rethink how I format and present data to the user. So instead of taking in the variadic parameters, the variable, number of parameters, the dot, instead of that, we're gonna take in a fixed message, so all the formatting has to be done ahead of time. We're not gonna need this VA list, we're not gonna need VA start, we're not gonna need VF printf. Ah, shit, but we are still gonna need printf, aren't we? Okay, well... Oh, right. No, we're not going to need printf. I forgot about the write call. We can just write to standard output. Right? I'm still learning, this is part of the frustration, I guess, but not really frustration. The confusion is that there's so much that's, kind of the same thing, but also not the same thing. There's oh, you could P read a file, you could F read a file, you could PP read a file. What? Oh, well, first you gotta select the file. Do I gotta open the file? No, these ones are always open. Oh, okay, that seems fine, I guess. But if you gotta poll, you gotta select, there's so many different things going on. So yeah, we're gonna learn about the write call. File descriptor, the buffer to write out of, and the count. And yeah, this is this is basically how you avoid variadic parameters. You just include the count as a parameter, so it doesn't have to be a buffer of, whoa, who knows how much long it'll be. Oh, it's this long. Okay, great. Excuse me, sorry. So that's our file descriptor, I think. It's either the file descriptor or it's it's the file pointer. And you want the file number of the file pointer. And we're gonna write from the message buffer. Size of message, I think. Might be size of message divided by size of character. I think it might be like that. That's what we're gonna try. Wow, that's a lot of errors. Conflicting types for print to term. Oh yeah, right. I never actually finished fixing this. We'll get rid of that. Move cursor, yes. Is equal print to term. I don't think we need that anymore. I think we're just going to return print to term. Term message, no args. Great. And we also want to update our header because we are no longer taking in the ellipsis. Too many arguments to print to term. Expected to have 4. Oh, right, yeah. This other one is still, Ah, yes. Then I was trying to use the variadic function here to replace this %i with the row and the column. So I will have to do something else as far as that goes. As long as they're single digits, I could just replace it in there, but like, oh man, that's not right. Because yeah, this is kind of the vulnerability, I guess, or the magic that I'm trying to avoid, because it's a little bit dangerous, I guess. I'm not really entirely sure how to put it. Basically, if we keep putting these percent signs into a string, but we have like more parameters than there are things for it to read, like we're getting into very casually defined pointers here that may not actually be defined. It's very easy for a programmer to assume that something is something when it's actually just random data or other data that they definitely shouldn't be playing with. So I want to try to minimize magic as much as possible. I want it to be like transparent. As transparent as possible. But then like in terms of the actual string manipulation, the string copy function only works with a const. Like, an integer can only get so big. Well, what's the most digits it could have? Like 8? But I mean, how big is your terminal gonna be? Is it gonna be like a Googleplex wide? Probably not. So I probably only need like 3 digits for the X and Y. But I don't know. Let's see C Linux int. No, not mint. Although I like mint. The following sections are informative. Like, aren't all the man pages supposed to be informative? I don't know. Oh yeah, this is very important information. Good to review. Fundamental. A byte is exactly 8 bits. Character bit has the value 8. Schar max has the value 127, Schar min has the value minus 128, and Uchar max has the value 255. Why is that? Well, it's probably because the character bit, I think, only stores 1 byte, or stores 1 character. So when it says has the value 8, I'm not actually sure what that means. Does that mean that a character stores up... What the hell is this? Are we getting ads on EarthCamTV? Is it because we're in Times Square? Yeah. Okay, well, let's go to a different... Instead of stinky rooftop, let's go over to this nice bridge. No offense to New York, I just, that particular camera angle was not... not to my liking. But an S-char, is that like a short char? Or signed char, so that's why it has the value, positive value of 127, S-char min is negative 128, and Uchar max, which would be unsigned character max, meaning it can be negative, so it has double the range of those, or well, same range. The window has slid. Type theft names beginning with int or uint, ending with t may be added to types. Yeah, that's cool. About largest signed int in C. Yep. It's in limits.h. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Seems like 10 digits. That's crazy. Alright, so basically we're trying to print a special character to the screen. Let me just do a little explanation. It's kind of rubber duck. It's kind of for my benefit. I don't necessarily need anyone to pay attention to what I'm saying. But there are these special control characters, and the top one is the template, but then if I actually replace these values, these %i's with numbers, so like the top one would go to position row 1, column 2, I think. And this one would go to, you know, row 5, column 5, that kind of thing. But then the question is, like, if we get into double digits, that's when I can't just string replace with a stringified version of the int. It's got to have enough space to store multiple digits. And so I think I'm gonna define a const in the header. Or maybe I could even put it in the terminal itself. That probably makes more sense. Well, I don't know. The only thing I'm, like, hesitating about is I almost want to future-proof it, or I want to make it work for everybody. I want to make it work for as many people as possible. My concern is that there's going to be some asshole out there with the world's biggest terminal, and it's not going to be able to run on his 1000 by 1000 console. But, like, I probably shouldn't worry about that person. They're probably a very small percentage of the population. I would love to one day support them, but for now I just gotta focus on what's gonna help the most. So I think 3 is a pretty natural limit, and I might just keep it restricted to this function, and worry about bestest practices later. It was I2A. Yeah, this is string to int. I want to go the other way. Non-standard, oh. I'm a smart cookie. Citation needed. Maybe I can write my own. Because it's so frustrating. Everything is so close to being accessible. That's all just numbers. Basically, it's all just numbers. Ones and zeros, right? I'm having a thought of, like, can I... What is this view? Oh, an elephant thing. Let's see. Oh, it's all creepy with the night vision. I assume the elephants are sleeping. It's 3:20 a.m. in Indonesia. God, it's so freaking cool. Um, like I could map the digits. It's just a number. There should be a smart way to do this. This is an interesting equation. Log 10 num plus 1. The ceiling. Huh. I'm wondering if I could just define my own I2A. It's like, this is the kind of thing that seems like it should be more fundamental, but I don't know. I don't want the language to get too bloated, and it probably already is. That's where we got the printf and other things like that, is from trying to over easy things, oversimplify, over convenience. I guess the part that I'm missing is, what are the character codes for the numerals? Because then I would be able to map the integer to those. But that might be implementation specific, like locale specific, stuff like that. I'm also wondering if I could write to a string. I think I can. Because if that's the case, I can write one digit at a time into the string itself. Yes, I could create a temporary file. Oh, I really don't want to be creating files either. I want everything to be minimal. Minimal, easy, simple. Very, very clear. I could take in the row and column as strings, I guess, but like that only helps a little bit. Because I believe I'm going with int2 character I2C. I mean, this is the way that like kind of makes sense to me. This is probably stupid. Maybe I should probably define this as like an enum instead. Although I don't like enums either. But basically, if I is 0, we're gonna return 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is this good programming? No. We can fix it later. What's important to me is preventing vulnerabilities. So this way I can at least know these are the characters that we will be using in the string. There will not be anything coming from anywhere else. And if it can't parse it, we're just going to return that thing there. Actually, I guess I don't really need a default case. I could put this after the switch block. Just everything leads to more and more things. Like, do I want to support negative numbers? I guess it wouldn't make sense to do that for this particular case. gonna assume like 8 digits max? I don't know, 10, 12, 16? Fuck it, we'll go 16. Well, I don't know, well, fuck it. I mean, the alternative is that I grab the string of the limit from the other file and count the number of characters in there. Oh yeah, fuck that too. It's gonna be I divided by... Oh, jeez. I feel like I did assignments like this back in college. Huh, maybe I should check my trunk. I wonder if my homework is still in there. It might not, it might be in storage. Can do this. I just wanna make sure I'm doing it right. And I'm probably not. The scary part of my brain is saying, try recursion! Divide by 10 recursively! That'll get you down to the last digit, then pop them all back into the list. I'm like, I don't think that's simplest. There's gotta be something simpler. Because, I mean, if you imagine this function running, I to s, and we pass in an integer like 365, there are multiple things. Like, I gotta figure out how many digits long it is. And the way to do that is, I mean, naively, my way of doing that is divide by 10 repeatedly until it becomes less than 1 or less than 0, you know, whatever. That's probably not most efficient, because then that just gets me the number of digits, and then I'm gonna have to do that again. Because now that I know the number of digits, I can actually focus on one digit at a time. Okay, I could also make a variable that starts at 1 to represent that the given integer is only 1 digit long, and has a check, like a while that checker is less than while that checker times 10 is less than the given integer value, multiply it by 10 again? Something like that. C is for count. Don't mind my shitty variable names. I can fix that later. So I think I want to start C at 1. Do I want to... Well, yeah, I want to start at 1. And I want to say while I is greater than... C. C times equal 10. I'm probably doing some kind of logarithm shit. Like, I've been thinking about the log 10 that they showed in the other thing. And like, if I was just a little bit smarter, I could probably figure something out with that. Oh, is this a 9/11 memorial? Oh, God. Oh, yeah, that's where the Trade Center used to be. What's this little building? Didn't they make a, they made like Freedom Tower, right? Or some shit like that. To like stand where... One World Trade Center, also known as 1 WTC and as the Freedom Tower, is the main building of the rebuilt World Trade Center complex in Lower Manhattan, New York City. It's the tallest building in the United States, tallest building in the Western Hemisphere, and the 7th tallest in the world. The super tall structure has the same name as the North Tower of the original World Trade Center, which was destroyed in the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. The new skyscraper stands on the northwest corner of the 16-acre World Trade Center site, on the site of the original 6 World Trade Center. It is bounded by West Street to the west, Vesey Street to the north, Fulton Street to the south, and Washington Street to the east. Oh, and it's gone. Now we're looking at the St. Louis Arch. As far as I know, no one's ever knocked that one over, but... I know my history's not that great. Oh, that's nice. President Barack Obama visited the construction site 2 months later and wrote on a steel beam that would be hoisted to the top of the tower the sentence, "We remember, we rebuild, we come back stronger." That same month, with the tower structure nearing completion, the owners of the building began a public marketing campaign for the building seeking to attract visitors and tenants. That's nice. I'm conflicted about it, because on the one hand, it's like, oh, cool, it's another monument to man's arrogance. But on the other hand, it's like, well, it's a nice, like, symbolic gesture of, like, our, you know, fuck you, we're gonna rebuild it. Like, knock it down again, bitch, we'll rebuild it. I don't actually knock it down. People are working there. Oh, geez, what a world we live in. I just want to enjoy a nice day of programming, but... My EarthCamTV is showing me evidence of terrorism. I'm glad, like, not that terrorism happened. I'm glad that the EarthCamTV like shows that stuff. I'm glad that there is a memorial site. I'm glad that those two like indentations where the towers used to stand, like, oh shit, like, yeah, something is missing there. Something has been taken. A lot of people died, and they don't come back. That's why I'm so angry all the time. Because I know I only have one life, and I know it's been wasted. And I know there's only so much I can do with it from here. And I know that no matter how hard I try, I'm never going to reach my dreams. I'm never going to meet my real goals. But I can do something, and I want to do something. It's better than nothing. But anyway, I want to create a memory back temp file. Like, I don't just want to look up someone else's integer to string function. I want to understand why it's not built in, and I want to understand why, or, you know, the best way to implement it, or at least a good way to implement it, because I don't think this way that I'm doing is particularly good. I think it might work. But like if we get the number 365 and we say while I is greater than C, so while 365 is greater than 1, then C times equals 10, count plus equals 1. Well, actually, I guess I want to say, because I'm assuming the integer is at least 1 digit, even if it's 0. That's going to be 1 digit, because we want to print out the 0. Sorry. So we're going to start the count at 1. We're going to start the C at 10, and we're going to say while I is greater than or equal to C, we will increment count, multiply C to the next, 100, then 1,000, etc. And so our count is counting the number of digits there. I guess. I could make an array of ints. Oh yeah, I can do modulo. Modulus. yeah. So we count up the digits. So if we have the number 365 coming in for I, 365 is greater than equal to 10. So we increment count to 2. We increment C to 100. 365 is greater than equal to 100. So we increment count to 3. We increment C to 1,000. 365 is not greater than equal to 1,000. So we have counted 3 digits in the number 365. That is correct. What can we do with that count? Well, now we start dividing. Now we say integer 365 divided by 10 to the third power? No, 10 to the second power. So we'll take 1 back off. It'll be count minus 1. 10 to the second power is 100. 365... That's not working like I thought it would. 365 mod 100 would be 65? 365 divided by 100, floored, would be 3. So I think that's what we want to do. Actually, is there a floor, or does it just C integer division? I feel like it just discards the remainder, even if it's more than 50, or more than half, I mean. Truncates toward 0 rather than flooring. Oh. But we are talking positive numbers here. So I think we can actually just say I divided by C? Because it was 1,000 when we realized, you know, oh, it's not more than or equal to 1,000. So now we're going to take it back down to 100. And we're going to say I divided by 100. So 365 divided by 100 should get us 3. And we're going to store that into there. So I guess this should probably be while C is greater than equal to 0. Greater than equal to 10. Well, C is greater than 1. Because we're going to go from 1,000 down to 100, and we're going to set res of R, and we're going to increment R. We're going to set res of R equal to the I to C, where I divided by C, and yeah, that's a little bit confusing because I'm using 2 different C's there. I to C is int to character, but then the I here is an input integer, and the C is a, it's kind of like a count, it's kind of like an exponent, you know, maybe I should call it E? I guess I'll call it E. Not really E, but it's something, you know, this at least doesn't confuse it with C. And so we got it up to 1,000. We say while it's greater than 1, we're going to divide it over by 10 multiple times. So we divide it back down to 100. And then we return 1 over 100, which should get 3. And we're storing that into res of R. Then we increment r so that next time we'll store it in a different place. And next time e is only 10. 10 is still greater than 1. Okay, so we're going to want greater than equal to 1 there. Oh, but it's an int? Oh yeah, so it would drop down to 0. Okay, perfect. So then at 10, we have 10, or I divided by 10. Oh shit, right. So now I actually need to, I need to copy the value of I so that I'm not actually bothering it. So we're going to make this a pointer. I'm going to say, while the value of I is greater than equal to E, the value of I divided by E goes there. I mean, I think I just want to make my own. I think we're just going to copy the value of I into X. That way we can modify. This is what I'm getting at. We can modify the value of X without modifying the original int. Because you're like, hey, print me this integer. And like, okay, but it'll cost you. By the time I'm done printing it, it'll be less than it was before. Like, oh, no, that's not what I want. So we say here x over e, because if x is 365 and e is 100, that'll get us the 3. We put the 3 into the r. And then we set x equal to x. Wait. I think I want another variable here. To store the division result. Yeah. Okay, great. Great. I didn't even need a thing there. So over here we set d equal x over e. Pass the d into there. X equal x minus d times e. Yeah? Maybe? So, if we run through this with I as 365, then we copy that value into X. We initialize our variables. We say while 365 is greater than equal to 10, which it is. So we raise the count from 1 to 2, and we raise the E from 10 to 100. Then we check again. 365 greater than or equal to E? Yes. We raise the count from 2 to 3. We raise the E from 100 to 1000. Is E greater than or equal to 1? Yes. Of course. It was initialized to 10. In that case, at our version of E is at 1000. So we set E equal to E divided by 10. We've now taken it back down to 100. D equals 365 over E. So D is, I'm calling that digit, that's being set to 3, the first digit in the string. So then res of R equals I2C D, because D is still not yet a character, it's a size T, an integer, basically. And so we pass it into there, where it becomes a character, and then we store that into res at index R. That done, we take our 365, and we subtract D times E. D is 3, E is 100. So we subtract 300 from 365, that gets us 65. And then we raise R, so that way next time we're going into the right spot. And actually I might swap the order of these, it doesn't actually matter, but it helps for my brain. And then we go into the next loop. So E is now 10, no, sorry, E is 100. We're gonna divide it down to 10. Excuse me, sorry. We're gonna set the digit equal to 65 divided by 10, so that's going to get us 6. We'll set res of 1 instead of res of 0 equal to the character version of the 6. Then we will increment the r. Then we'll set our x equal to 65 minus 60. So now it's 5. We go back in. E is greater than or equal to 1? Yes. Oh, okay, so this should actually probably just be a greater than. E is 10. Since E is 10, we divide it down to 1. There's now only one digit. D equals x over E. E is 1, so we just get the value of x, which is 5. Res of 2, sorry, equals I2C 5. We raise the index, even though it won't matter this time. And we set x equal to, 5 equal to 5 minus 5, which is 0. So I guess we could also say while x equals 0, or greater than 0 up here, but I'm just going to go with e greater than 1. R++ has taken place. So I guess what we could say is res of r equal null character. And that'll show it that we've ended the string there. And then we can return the res, which is short for result in this case. Sometimes I also use res for response, so, you know, it's not the most clear variable name, but yeah, it's short. Is that my hair? No. Is that my hair? Yes. Ah! Okay, so hopefully we've written a couple of functions here that will take a digit of fairly big length and turn it into a string. So oh, the sun on the water is very pretty. Or maybe it's just the camera lens. But it's nice. It's so confusing because, like, there's a lot of different strings here going a lot of different ways. I should probably eat something. I don't really wanna. I got some bread and cheese today. I plan on making grilled cheese at some point. It's a nice classic snack. I also got more potatoes and corn. Maybe I should have some corn. Yeah, I'm gonna eat some corn while I think about this. Also got some butter. So we're applying a bit of butter to this corn. Gonna be good corn. Now the butter is already salted, so I probably don't need more salt, but here's more salt and pepper. Been getting way into corn on the cob lately. Been trying to find healthier addictions. Some good fiber. I also got a little bit of milk. So apparently you're supposed to add that to pasta most of the time. And I just wasn't. Bleep, bleep, bleep. I guess I'll leave it in the microwave for a minute. Oh, but I should also... Oh, doesn't want to rub the butter on it while it's fucking really hot. So that'll help it just melt the butter all on its own. Wipe out any extra moisture from the microwave. Oh god, yeah, it's pretty wet. Wipe. Perfect. And we can get a little bit brave and try to watch something on YouTube. Maybe they won't copyright strike me. Depending on what I watch, of course. Well, let's watch Dan McClellan. Christmas trees are not pagan, he says.
Putting a tree inside your house for Christmas is one of the most pagan things you can do.
All right, let's see it.
Long before Christmas ever existed, ancient pagan cultures across Europe celebrated Yule, the winter solstice, the longest night of the year.
So the data do not support the claim that Yule was a celebration of the winter solstice prior to the existence of Christmas. They don't even support the claim that that was the case prior to the Christianization of Europe. Now, one of the big issues that we're going to run into in this video is that virtually all of the claims being made here are based on accounts that were written primarily in Scandinavia and in England centuries after the Christianization of Europe. They're usually coming from Christians, but even when they're not, they're being filtered through a Christian interpretive lens, and they're representing traditions as they existed after centuries of Christian influence.
See, this is something that I'd heard before, is that Christians like repurposed a pagan holiday, but apparently that's not true. The only part that might be somewhat related to that is the date of the celebration, but like, yeah, I'll let him explain. He probably done more research.
And even in the earliest of those accounts, Yule does not seem to have been celebrated initially at the winter solstice. So according to the Heimskringla, which is the saga of Norwegian kings, it was King Håkon I of Norway, who reigned in the mid-900s CE, who said, we're gonna move the celebration of Yule to align with the celebration of Christmas at the winter solstice. Scholars think that prior to its movement to align with Christmas, it was celebrated on Midwinter's Night, which was actually a month after the winter solstice in January or sometimes even early February. So once again, this is an issue that's going to come up repeatedly because the claims that are being made here are going to be based on accounts that come from well after the Christianization of Europe, or as late as the 19th century, which we're going to talk about in a little bit.
And during that darkness, they brought evergreen branches, wreaths, and whole trees into their homes as a symbol of life that survives the winter. And the evergreen tree became a promise. Light will return, spring will come again, life endures.
The data do not support the claim that prior to the use of Christmas trees among Christians, the celebration of Yule involved bringing whole trees into the home, whether they were then decorated or not. That's just not a practice that is attested anywhere prior to its very first attestation anywhere in the historical record, which is in 15th century Christian homes in the Upper Rhine regions of France and Germany. And for the very best social media discussion of this, you've got to check out Religion for Breakfast's video, The Very Recent Origins of Christmas Trees. This discusses the scholarship, cites a lot of work that has been done on when and how Christmas trees originate. Here are some of the peer-reviewed publications that are going to be talked about in that video. And it also discusses the fact that the Christmas tree is pagan in origin claim originates in the 19th century among German nationalist writers who were trying to gin up a shared ethnic identity and origin, a pan-German identity that would then lead to German nationalism that did what it did in the early and mid-20th century. So here are some of the sources that are going to be cited related to that. But if you want the best discussion and all the details about where the Christmas tree comes from, according to the available data, you've got to check out Religion for Breakfast's video.
And this tradition didn't just come from one place. Several cultures shared this idea. Some of the biggest influence came from Germanic and Norse paganism. During Yule, people would decorate their evergreen trees with apples, candles, runes, charms, and it represented the sun, blessings, and the spirit of their ancestors. Evergreens were believed to protect the home from evil spirits during the dark months. The Celts viewed the evergreens as sacred because they stayed green when everything else died. They would bring branches indoors as protection and good luck, believing that they housed woodland spirits.
So none of these claims are supported by any data that predate the Christianization of Europe, and most of these details actually come from the 19th and 20th century, mainly from folklorists working in the early 19th century, from those German authors that we already talked about, as well as from more recent and well-meaning attempts on the part of neo-pagans to try to reclaim a heritage that is thought to have been appropriated by Christians during the Christianization of Europe. However, the data don't support.
Yeah, and like, this is why we gotta be careful with the bullshit that we parrot. Because as much as I don't like Christianity, and as much as I could believe that they repurposed a pagan holiday, and for a long time I did believe that, like, there's no actual evidence that that's what they did. Not that I've seen. And so then it's like, well, where did that idea come from? And well, it could have come from people who are looking for an excuse to hate on Christianity a little bit more. It could have come from, you know, pagans who are insecure. It could have been an intentional lie, or it could have been an accident. But what is the result of the lie? Well, if pagans are blaming Christians for, like, stealing a holiday from them on top of everything else, and, like, it's one of the biggest holidays in Christianity, like, you know, Easter is also pretty up there. It just adds needless tension, because it's not actually about the things that Christians did and are doing. It's about suddenly it's oh, pagans invented this crime that Christians committed because pagans just hate Christians so much. Like, no. I don't wanna push a false thing. I don't give a shit about holidays. The idea of a holiday is stupid. It's false. No day is holy, or every day is holy. That's my stance. Every day is a holy day. I actually hate that Christmas is on the same date every year. It makes everything about it inauthentic. Oh yeah, we love spending time with our family and being charitable. Well, no, it's just that time of year, and so you know that if you don't do it, you'll be judged for it by others. Like, you have no choice but to pretend you like it. Ugh. Glad I'm done with that. That was good corn. We got some GC over here, and some good corn. Maybe I'll make another cob, you know? I'd hate for this pats of butter to go to waste.
That reconstruction of the history. The data pretty squarely place the innovation of the Christmas tree within organic Christian contexts, and don't support the reconstruction of any pre-Christian Germanic or Norse origins for that convention. It's just not something that is attested anywhere in the historical record until it pops up within Christian communities and households in the Upper Rhine region in the 15th century in Germany and France.
Romans decorated their homes with evergreen boughs during the festival of Saturnalia, celebrating renewal and the return of the sun.
So we got a few things to note here. First, Saturnalia was not a celebration of renewal, and it did not occur at the winter solstice. Saturnalia was a celebration of Saturn, a god of agriculture and abundance. It was a harvest festival, and its main day was December 17th, and then that celebration could stretch out for as many as 6 or 7 days. So the latest we have attestation of its celebration stretches out to the 24th. It did not occur at the same time as the observed celebration of the winter solstice in the Roman Empire. So it was a separate celebration from the winter solstice. Now, we do have classical sources that attest to the use of evergreen boughs and branches in celebrations during winter time. However, it was more generally associated with any winter celebration, and mostly with celebrations associated with the calends, the beginning of the new year, the end of January, and not specifically with Saturnalia, although the use of evergreen boughs and branches certainly overlapped with the celebration of Saturnalia. So there is some truth to these claims, but some of these claims are also not supported by the data.
So how did this tradition become Christmas? Well, centuries later, Christian missionaries realized that they couldn't get pagans to give up their winter traditions, so they absorbed them. By the Middle Ages, the Yule tree blended with Christian symbolism. Apples became ornaments, candles became lights, blessings became prayers, evergreen protection became a Christmas miracle. But the meaning, renewal, hope, and the return of the sun stayed the same.
So obviously, because the data do not support the notion that the Christmas tree originates in the celebration of Yule and in pre-Christian Norse and Germanic celebrations, this reconstruction of the process of appropriation of the Christmas tree from the celebration of Yule and pre-Christian Norse and German traditions is also not supported by the data. This is something that developed after the development of this notion that this all comes from pre-Christian Norse and pagan traditions. And again, that's just not supported by any data.
So whether you want to call it Yule or Christmas, the symbolism mostly stays the same. It is about life in the dead of winter and hope when there is darkness. And it's a reminder that warmth and light always return. Ex tenebris lux.
Obviously, that's a beautiful message, and that resonates with the way a lot of people think about Christmas and the way a lot of non-Christian peoples think about the winter solstice and winter celebrations and the way they have thought about it throughout history. But the notion that the Christmas tree is an appropriation from pre-Christian or non-Christian traditions is just not supported by the data. It is, as best we can tell, an internal Christian innovation of the 15th century CE. And the fit for this video has been Wolverine.
So yeah, that was interesting. That was Dan McClellan. He's a biblical scholar, I think, is how he titles himself. Accuracy is most important. You know, I'm not just an atheist, like, because I hate my parents. Like, I don't hate Christians for, I mean, I was gonna say I don't hate them for being Christian, but like that is actually kind of the thing. But the reason that I hate Christians is because I think their beliefs are inaccurate. I don't believe that there is a God, and I believe it's very harmful to pretend that there is. But when it comes to untangling and deconstructing the bullshit, we can't do that by piling more bullshit on top. We can't do that by saying, oh yeah, they stole our holiday. Like, no, they apparently in this case they did not. And we got a whole history about, you know, the German nationalist kind of inception of Christmas trees and other things like that. You know, the dates moved sometimes, but it seemed more like the pagans shifted, or, you know, I say the pagans, like I'm reducing and simplifying this video we just watched. But yeah. History is complicated. We don't want to misrepresent it. We'll never get it perfectly because it's in the past and we're not there. But we don't want to misrepresent it. We want our claims, our beliefs to align as closely to known truth as possible. I like that video. Thank you, Dan. Fuck yeah. Did Star Fox 64 actually have a hidden ground mode? Yes. Unlock all the medals, you can play as on-foot characters in multiplayer in Star Fox 64. You can shoot your little tiny pistol up at R-Wings in Star Fox 64. It's crazy. But I guess we'll watch that. I gotta eat more corn.
Star Fox 64 was one of my favorite N64 titles, and I don't even really like flying games. But something about this game just felt so different, and it really stuck with me over the years. The smooth controls, the action, all the characters, the voice lines.
Do a barrel roll!
I loved it all. But what really pulled me in were those little secrets you could find. Sometimes little things you'd stumble into without even trying.
Follow me, Fox!
And suddenly you unlocked a new route or a hidden boss that you didn't even know was in the level.
Falco, where you going?
And discovering these secrets made the game feel way bigger than it actually was, like there was some hidden universe just hiding beneath the surface if you could figure it out. This game design kept me coming back, and it made every playthrough feel just a little bit different. So what did I do when I was a kid? I bought the official player's guide, and I actually still have it to this day. I use this to plan my routes, find secrets, and unlock every alternate mission in the game. But buried deep in that book, on page 122 of 124, there was something I couldn't believe, and still kind of don't to this day. A multiplayer mode where you could play as Fox and the other characters on foot. A deep hidden secret. I thought to myself, this couldn't be real. It had to be one of those urban legends. But if it's in the guide, it had to be real, right? The problem? To unlock it, you needed to earn all medals in both normal and expert mode. Not an easy feat.
There's an expert mode?
So now, decades later, I'm finally going back to confirm, and finally relive that memory that I've never been able to verify. Does Star Fox 64 really have a multiplayer ground mode? Let's find out.
It does, I know that it does, but I've never unlocked it myself. I've never gotten all the medals in normal mode, let alone there's an expert mode? Like, this is blowing my mind.
Games on the Nintendo
This is one of my
64.
favorite games.
It had around 4 million copies sold worldwide.
I just never got that good at
It's
it.
the 9th best-selling
I could beat
game
it
the system.
on the hardest
It is
path,
widely considered to be the
which I thought was good
definitive
enough, but
Star Fox
apparently there's a whole
experience,
expert
thanks to its
mode.
depth, voice acting, new characters.
Yeah, this is the
vehicles,
best
and
Star
detailed
Fox
world
game.
building.
There is no
It's often
comparison.
credited as to why
Star Fox
is a
64
major
is the
Nintendo
one.
franchise.
Like,
And I couldn't agree more
fuck.
because I was obsessed with this game. It hit the Nintendo 64 back in 1997, showing off the console's 3D power, and it also helped introduce the Rumble Pack.
This is the Rumble Pack. The big reason why Star Fox 64 is the coolest cinematic gaming experience
Cinematic?
there is.
I don't know if I call it that.
It's
I
designed
kinda.
with a force feedback device that lets players feel the game.
Wait a second.
Yeah, this was awesome. Again, it had tons of fun, and it was incredibly replayable.
Yes.
Different paths, bosses, and mission outcomes. The true magic of Star Fox was that feeling of exploration and the multiple
Yeah.
routes to the end.
You didn't know what was gonna happen.
You had easy
Like,
runs.
oh wow,
up
if
the
I do
right-hand
something different
side
in the
that
level this
pretty much
time,
made it
maybe
easy
I'll
mode.
find a new level. Like,
Then you
that
had
shit's
the hard
exciting.
route that was up the left-hand side. That one was
Yes.
legendary.
Yes.
To do it, you needed all the secret triggers, all the challenges, and you had no room for error.
Well,
This game
yeah,
was
it's some
built
room
for
for error.
replayability, and I loved chasing every possible variation that the game would throw at you just to see what was out there. Again, that feeling of exploration, it just added an amazing layer to this game. But every time I played it, I'd always think about page 122 of the player's guide. Way in the back, that tiny screenshot of Fox on the ground in multiplayer. Didn't have a ton of context with it, just mentioned expert mode like it was no big deal. So what is expert mode?
Yeah, just mentioned
Well,
it.
it was the game's hard mode setting. A difficulty setting that becomes available after earning all medals in the game.
Yeah! I just learned about expert mode in this video! I thought that if I got all the medals in normal mode, that would unlock the multiplayer bonus thing. No, apparently that would be step 1 of 2.
It significantly increases the game's challenge by adding more enemies, increases enemy aggression, and it makes the R-Wing much weaker. So I decided to try it again. And I failed. Then I tried it again. And of course, failed again. Seriously, expert mode really challenges you. You have to bring your A game to actually beat it. If you haven't played it in a while, I recommend checking it out and trying it again. Because the difficulty still stands the test of time. I did beat the game a couple times, but not gonna lie, I eventually hit a wall trying to get these medals. But I was determined to unlock this hidden save. So I'm not that proud to admit it, but it was time to call in an old friend. Hey Game Shark, I know when I was younger I said I'd never use you because I was too good at games, but here I am. I'm older and I'm not so good at games anymore. I could really use some help. Think you can help me?
Sure thing, Hidden Saves. Welcome to the dark side. I absolutely can help you out.
I've been waiting for you, Star Fox.
And one cheat code later, all medals unlocked, expert mode also completed. And with expert mode flagged and all medals earned, I was ready. And again, please don't shame me too much in the comments for using Game Shark. I needed to see this one. So I jumped into multiplayer. Normally you've got the R-Wing and the Landmaster tank options if you unlocked it, but there it was, on foot mode, the Fox icon. I jumped in and I played as Fox McCloud on foot for the very first time. I had the blaster in hand and I found myself running around like I'd wandered into a different Nintendo game entirely. And honestly, it was awesome. The controls are very janky. You use the R button to run. Yeah, the R button. Feels a little weird, but still awesome to finally see and experience this for the very first time. I found myself running across the map, dodging some tank fire, trying to lock on from the ground. It was like some weird crossover between Star Fox, GoldenEye, or maybe something like Jet Force Gemini. Finally unlocking this after all these years gave me so much joy, more than I could describe. But there also was a little bit of sadness, because I realized this game was meant for couch multiplayer, and my old friends aren't here with me to play it anymore. Back in the day, this probably would have been an entire weekend of laughter, trash talk, maybe some thrown controllers and snacks all over the floor. But still, standing there as Fox, blaster in hand, walking around the map, I couldn't help but smile. I'd finally unlocked one of my oldest hidden saves. Secrets like this are something special. They're not just bonus content, they're little mysteries that can live in your head for decades, waiting for the day for you to finally crack them open. And the thing is, this is something that's very unique to gaming. Sure, other forms of media, they have hidden meanings and foreshadowing, but games are more of a personal journey. You're there in the moment, digging out these hidden secrets and Easter eggs yourself. And for a lot of us that grew up in this era, secrets like this were kind of lost in time. There was no real YouTube yet. There were no deep dive channels or social media. Half the stuff we discovered back then came from playground rumors or someone in your neighborhood.
I was just about to say, playground rumors, like, kids at school were telling me about Ocarina of Time, but they were farther ahead than me, and I didn't believe them. Because I was like, no, there's no way of getting up to the broken staircase, like, you're lying to me.
I even had to dig really deep just to confirm this one because there was so little coverage on it.
I'm
When you
surprised.
finally go back and solve one of those old mysteries, it pulls you right back in.
I thought this was
For
pretty
a
well
few
known.
minutes, you feel like a kid again. If you journeyed through the amazing world of Star Fox back in the day, you probably had a hidden save of your own. This was mine. This is Hidden Saves, a channel about unlocking old memories and figuring out why some games just stuck with us. If this one unlocks something for you, feel free to hit subscribe or drop a comment, and let me know what forgotten memory we should dig up next.
Manly abortion.
Catch you in the next one.
You'd be welcome to stay if you weren't spam, scam, bots, and pampering me.
You guys. Yeah? Well, as much as we'd love to stick around here and keep playing with you guys, we gotta go.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Oh, by the way, have you seen this?
What's that?
That's the Star Fox 64 Player's Guide. It teaches you everything you need to know about the game.
Let me see that.
You can buy it at the store.
Or, if you want more gaming information, check us out on the web at starfox64.com.
Thanks for the pizza, guys.
See you later, boys.
That was acting. Oh, jeez. So yeah, in the spirit of the channel, I'm trying to think of my own hidden save from Star Fox 64. And like, I don't know. The whole fucking thing is nuts. Like, I love so much about the game. I'm fairly sure my older brother used the Game Shark and we like played the multiplayer on foot back in the day, but I'm not entirely sure. I also think there might have been a special version, a special edition version. Is that my hair? Why? How do I still have hair? I thought I... Oh no, did my ponytail came out? Oh, my ponytail came out. Oh. Whoops. I wonder where the hair tie went. But, no, there's so much to enjoy about it. Like, it's a great game. I can play it right now. I've got it on my 64. Like, one of the parts that sticks out to me forever is the end of the hard path. When you finally make it to Andros, and in the beginner path, you destroy the giant monkey face, and he turns into a robot face, and you destroy the robot face, and you win. In the hard path, you destroy the monkey face, and he turns into a giant brain. And he says, "Only I have the brains to rule Lilat." And I'm sitting there like, oh my god, did he just make a joke? What the fuck is happening? But Fox is completely on board. Fox says, "So, Andros, you show your true form." And I'm like, what? How, you know his true form is a brain? You know what? Like, yeah, apparently. And so then you have a spaceship battle, a star battle. I'm sorry, no, you're inside of the planet still. But you flying around in your starship. You have a starship battle with the brain and its eyeballs. And then you fly away chasing the ghost of your father. Like, that whole shit is fucking rad. I love that. That is like peak Star Fox. I don't know, maybe peak Star Fox is one of the other levels, but that's like the emotional like climax of the game. The I don't know how to put it. Like, when you're playing a game to beat it, and the boss is weird and different and kind of challenging, like, it's super satisfying to finally see the credits. Sometimes it's just an ordeal and like grueling and like not fun. But I don't know. Overall, I have very positive opinions about Star Fox 64. As far as like hidden saves, I don't know. The other aspect of it that I really like is that you can warp from the easy path to the hard path if you know what you're doing, and you fly very skillfully. And you take this awesome like warp tunnel that like goes through this rainbow dimension with all the shit flying around. And Peppy is like, "Trust your instincts." You just like blasted through at super light speed or whatever. Like, love that shit. Good game. I'll be right back. Don't know what I'm gonna do. Probably not eat more corn. Already had 2 cobs. Very tasty, though. Very tasty. All right, I don't know what I want to do. Why the Divine Beasts failed Zelda Dungeons? Ooh, do you guys agree with that? Do you think Divine Beasts failed as Zelda Dungeons? I would say there's no formula for Zelda Dungeons. We have a pattern of what Zelda Dungeons have been in every Zelda game. No one has to stick to that. That said, I think the Divine Beasts are weaker than most Zelda Dungeons. Yes. So I am curious to hear, we'll probably go over some of the same reasons. My reasons are, like, it's kind of a half and half thing, because, like, on the bad side, it almost makes the dungeon less meaningful, because you can do it in whatever order you want. But on the plus side, you could do it in whatever order you want. You don't have to necessarily be gated as much or, like, follow a particular path. But, like, everything looks the same, everything kind of is the same, and, like, yeah, you got to use your brain to solve the puzzles, and I like that aspect of it, but, like, it's so simplistic and not ultimately all that satisfying. I think that might be where I go with it, is that, like, it's just not that satisfying to play the Divine Beasts. And, like, some of the older dungeons, like, they show Stone Temple Tower there in the thumbnail. That one is hard. That one's a long, hard dungeon that, like, as a kid, I ran out of time, because Majora's Mask is a time game, and I had to, like, reset time when I was fighting Twin Mold, and I couldn't actually beat it. And so, like, on that hand, it's frustrating, and it's less accessible. Fewer players will complete it. But on the other hand, it's arguably more satisfying when you do complete it, because then you get this scene where you're talking with this giant who you have rescued, and he sings you this song, and you know that, like, oh, that's the last giant. Now I can go to the moon. And, like, that's really exciting. Whereas the Divine Beasts, you could do them in any order. And so, like, they're not allowed to be more or less difficult than each other. They all have to be kind of just, yeah, video game level. Do it. Yeah. You can pull these levers in whatever order you want. Okay. But I still gotta pull them all? Yep. Okay. I guess I'll start pulling then. So that's my thoughts on it. Let's see what Liam 6
dungeon in the
thinks.
Zelda series is, you're probably going to describe it in one of two ways. You're either going to talk about its atmosphere, or you're going to talk about its mechanics. Players who value atmosphere tend to love the Forest Temple. They love the shadow.
I feel a little bit called out now. Forest Temple and Shadow Temple are some of my favorites in Ocarina of Time. I guess mechanically I would say maybe Deku Tree is better than Forest Temple. Just because it has the idea of climbing to the top and dropping through the bottom, which is a very, like, solid theme or core premise. Forest Temple is not bad. It has the idea of reclaiming the spirits of the pose, but, like, that's a little bit nebulous. You do two of them by shooting pictures on the wall. You do a third one by doing a sliding block puzzle. Then you do the fourth one by fighting her in a unique boss fight. And it's like, okay, well, that's also kind of cool. And, like, I think that's what I like about the levels, that it implies a sort of history. But yeah, that is, I guess, more theming than the actual gameplay. Like, the gameplay almost feels like a kind of arbitrary. Just like, well, this will be different and interesting. And, like, yeah, but it's not necessarily crafted to be meaningful in a way like Deku Tree, I feel, is. Shadow Temple is basically just a straight line through, and, like, yeah, thematically, it's oppressive, because, like, you're going deeper and deeper, lower and lower, farther and farther, and things are getting scarier and scarier. Then you gotta fight Bongo, this, like, demon death monster of Executioner's Ghost or some shit. Like, scary. Thematic, or gameplay-wise, mechanically, what does the Shadow Temple really got going on? Not a lot. You go down every path to get everything, you use your Lens of Truth a lot, like, that's the fun part, is using the Lens of Truth to, like, figure out where you're going. But, like, mechanically, no, I guess it's not really all that involved. Water Temple might be one of the best in Ocarina of Time if we're just talking about mechanics, but that's if we overlook the actual process of swishing boots and lowering and raising the water level. But in terms of, like, dungeon mechanics, that one might be one of the most interesting or most, like, fleshed out and realized. Spirit Temple, I guess, is also pretty good. I like Jabu Jabu. I feel like Jabu Jabu is a pretty good mix of thematics and mechanics. But yeah, I guess you're right.
Shadow Temple. They love the music, the lore, the textures, the feeling of walking into a haunted house. In contrast, the mechanics players love the water temple. They love the Great Bay Temple. They love the pipes, the flow, the satisfaction.
Okay, well, no, now you're talking about pipes like they're theming. Like, it's almost, like, I guess the distinction that they're making here is that the pipes are not just thematic, they are also serving a gameplay purpose, because you get to switch the water flowing out of one and out of another. The Shadow Temple doesn't really have something like that. Like, you never, like, switch a ghost from one side to another. Like, the most interactive element, I guess, is playing your ocarina on the boat to make the boat go. Like, that's it. It's just like pulling a lever. And it's not like an interesting lever like the water thing where, oh, this changes the whole dungeon. It's like, oh no, this sets off the raft, so I cross the other side, and now I'm on the other side. Now I can continue through the rest of the dungeon. Like, yeah, I guess I see what they're saying here.
Turning a valve here and watching something change over there. But the best dungeons in the series, the ones almost everyone agrees on, are the ones that manage to be a perfect mix of both.
Yeah.
Take the Stone Tower Temple in Majora's Mask. On one hand, it has a bloody history. It feels intimidating. It feels mysterious.
It's a pretty great dungeon.
There's a deep lore in this incredible cursed vibe. But on the other hand, it has a brilliant, distinct mechanic, flipping the entire dungeon upside down. The mechanism serves the atmosphere, and the atmosphere breathes life into the mechanism. Now, look at Breath of the Wild. The open world itself is oozing with atmosphere. It is arguably the most immersive Hyrule ever built. We love to run around endlessly, interact with its people, and just live in a world that feels so alive. But when we get to the dungeons, the places that are usually the strongest representation of atmosphere, we hit a serious wall. The Divine Beasts have almost no internal atmosphere. They are, by design, nearly pure mechanics. And while that's impressive, it clashes with how Zelda has trained us to read dungeons for decades. We've always used atmosphere as the emotional context for our puzzles. When the context disappears, the same mechanical complexity suddenly feels cold. This is what makes them feel so different from everything that came before. The real tragedy of the Divine Beast is not that they're bad designs, not at all really. It's that Eiji Aonuma finally built the perfect machines, and in doing so, revealed how fragile the soul of a dungeon really is when its illusion fails. To be completely fair to Aonuma, this wasn't an accident. In fact, if you look at his history, the Divine Beasts were more like an inevitability than a mistake. This is exactly the design philosophy he has been chasing his entire life. Before he was at Nintendo, Eiji Aonuma was attending the Tokyo University of the Arts, an exceptionally competitive and prestigious institution, where he earned his master's degree in composition design. His thesis project had nothing to do with video games. It was a series of karakuri dolls. If you've never heard of these before, karakuri dolls are essentially analog 17th century robots. Wooden fabric on the outside, but powered by a hidden internal clockwork universe of wound springs and gears. Like a computer, they execute a complete program based entirely on if-then statements. You see, the key to karakuri dolls is that you're witnessing the magic while the machine itself remains hidden. Their fluid movements give lifelike qualities that leave you wondering, how does it do that? Precisely because you cannot see the gears turning. Aonuma doesn't speak much about his time before Nintendo, but he does briefly mention his interview with Miyamoto. I did an interview and had my first encounter with Nintendo's chief developer, Shigeru Miyamoto, who happened to love the dolls I brought. He said, if you want to make things like that, Nintendo might be a good place for you to work. When Miyamoto hired him, he didn't do it because Aonuma could code a video game. He did it because Aonuma understood structure in 3 dimensions. He saw a guy who understood how to build a complicated karakuri doll, and more importantly, knew the magic of seeing a system work so flawlessly, and how that makes the audience feel. And once you understand that, you start to see Aonuma's fingerprints all over the series. Aonuma's mechanical philosophy became a defining through line in designing what can only be described as karakuri dungeons. While earlier dungeons like the Forest Temple leaned heavily on atmosphere, and the Fire Temple had its share of structural puzzles, they still relied on relatively straightforward linear progression. Now the Water Temple demanded something different. Suddenly we had to understand the entire dungeon as this massive, interconnected hydraulic system, Remember what was where and what changes when you operate the machine, so you can backtrack to access new areas. This was a big change from what we were typically used to. We were now made to pull the strings of the whole machine and connect room-based actions to dungeon-wide reactions. Of course, the pause button and boot swapping did not make this easier, as it was hard to hold the entire building in your mind when you had to spend so much time opening and closing the menu. Luckily, the Water Temple had an incredible atmosphere. I personally love being in the Water Temple. It's magical in its own way to watch the light dance up and down the walls as it reflects off the water. Even the room with Darklink
Yeah, the light and the
provided
music
an
is
eerie
super
contrast.
chill.
It felt like an entirely different world.
Yeah.
The vibes were so well done that even while you're getting lost for an entire hour with no idea which way was up, it still felt like a real part of your adventure. Another great example of Karakuri dungeons is the Arbiter's Ground in Twilight Princess. Listen, it literally turned Link into a cog in the machine with the fan favorite spinner item. You physically lock yourself into the floor and turn the gears and change the state of the dungeon, even if it's just for linear purposes. This was one of the moments where it feels like the mechanic of the dungeon was done so well that the magic actually had weight. We love the Arbiter's Ground because of the spinner, and we love the spinner because of how it was used in the Arbiter's Ground. The atmosphere complements the mechanic so much that when we didn't get the chance to really use the spinner's gear turning function almost anywhere else, we were kind of disappointed and left wanting more. Hell, the entire game of Majora's Mask is basically one giant Karakuri doll. The clock tower itself stands as the perfect symbol. Intricate gears hidden behind stone walls, counting down to total catastrophe. You see all these people going about their lives in a way that seems almost realistic, yet they too are just gears turning gears. Everyone in the world performs a set of actions for a set amount of time, and then it resets to its initial state and does it all over again.